Hello dear English learners, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well. And today I'm gonna teach you to the past perfect tense and its using. Okay, let's start our lesson. The theme is past perfect and the differences between the past simple tense. The plan of our lesson is form of the past perfect tense, ways of using past perfect tense, and I give some activities to your work and conclusion. The aim of our lesson to teach students to grammar materials during the lesson. When teaching the past perfect tense, the ultimate goal is to make sure your students understand that it's used to describe finished action. Okay, the form of the past perfect tense. We form the past perfect tense as had plus past participle, that is to say third form of the verb. If it's a regular verb, we plus ed endings. If it's a irregular verbs, it's third column of the irregular verbs. For example, regular verbs: she had arrived, she had arrived, she had verb and the plus ed, she had arrived. She hadn't arrived, it's negative, and the question, had she arrived? The auxiliary verb had will be at the initial part of the sentence. And irregular verbs: she had gone, it's statement; she hadn't gone, negative, positive, negative, and the question form is had she gone? I think it's clear. For example, and the past perfect time expressions. Exactly every tense have its own time expressions. For example, past perfect time expression, it's already, never, just, by the time, after, before, until then. We tend to use the following time expression with the past perfect. For example, she had already seen that film. She had just seen that film. She had never seen that film. Past perfect uses an action that happened before another action in the past. For example, in the statement we can see the two verbs. For example, he had worked very hard before he finally won. Had worked its first verb and won its second verb. Past perfect uses the second form, an action that happened before a specific time in the past. For example, they had already scored before the 9 o'clock break. Had already scored its before 9 o'clock break. Past perfect examples: Mike had finished his homework before he watched television. It's also two verbs in these statements. Had finished first one and watched its second one. My mom had left before I woke up. My mom had left before I woke up. It's specific time we can show here. The snow had started to fall before Christmas Eve. The team had finished practice before 10 o'clock. She had never visited Africa before her trip in 2009. Sam had seen the red car before he ran into it. And I decided to give you some activities to your practicing. For example, here I can do first one and the second one to clarify. For example, it's negative, yes? It's negative. I hadn't studied Japanese before I got to Japan. She had baked a lot before she opened her door. And others you should do by your own. Other examples. There are 15. And the past perfect activities. And here you should differentiate in which time statement is given. For example, past simple is it or past perfect? I hadn't studied Japanese before I went to Japan. She had baked a lot before she opened her shop. We had a lot of trouble because we had lost our passport. It's answers to the first activities. And in conclusion, I would like to say, so our lesson came to an end, and let's sum up what goal we said at the beginning of the lesson. Do you think we have reached it? I guess that you reached it. What did we learn in this lesson? You learned ways of using past perfect tense and how to use this tense and when to use it. And I would like to recommend you surround your English to fluent your English language and practicing more and learn by heart new words and of course study. Thank you to your attention. I hope our lesson was very interesting for you. Hope see you soon. Bye.